to the 2020 UBC Okanagan School of Engineering Open House. I'm Nina Hurfar, Director of the School of Engineering and Professor in Mechanical Engineering. Every year we welcome prospective students and members of the wider community to our campus to explore the learning and research opportunities in engineering at UBC Okanagan. Although this year's event is online, you will have an opportunity to hear from our current students and faculty members about their experiences, talk to our advising team about admissions, and explore virtually our state-of-the-art research facilities. Members of our design team and clubs, including Motorsport Club, Aero Club, and Concrete Toboggan, will be also available for drop-in discussions. We are very proud of our close-knit community. So if you don't see or hear something that you're particularly interested about, or you need more information, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Again, on behalf of everyone at the School of Engineering, welcome to UBC Okanagan and enjoy your visit.
Wonderful. So welcome, everyone. I would like to acknowledge that UBC Okanagan Campus is located on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan Nation. Since you may be joining us from near and far, I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands as well. My name is Tamara Winiger, and I will be your MC for this presentation. Make sure that you stick around to the end, and your name will go into a draw to win some UBC apparel. Today's presentation is to cover why engineering. So why study engineering in post-secondary, as well as why study engineering at the UBC Okanagan campus. I welcome you with this slide of our beautiful EME building located on our Okanagan campus. EME stands for Engineering, Management, and Education. And this is where primarily our students will be studying throughout the course of their degree. This is also where we would normally have met you today for this presentation. So I kind of wanted to acknowledge that, and I'm thankful that you can join us, whether it's from your home or another location. So like I said, why engineering? So as engineers, you can change the world, save the world, and impact the world in so many different ways. Engineers will create solutions to some of our greatest challenges we're facing, such as climate change, healthcare, renewable energy, and much more. Here today to talk a little bit about his journey into engineering, as well as manufacturing engineering, as well. He is a first-year instructor. I'm joined by Dr. Dean Richard, who's going to explain a little bit more about his journey. Go ahead, Dean.
Thanks, Tamara. Hi, everyone. Glad to see that we have so many participants. I'm looking at the numbers here, and it looks like it's well above 40, so happy to have everyone. My name is Dean. I'm an assistant professor of teaching, especially in our new manufacturing engineering program. There's some of the courses that I teach. I was asked to talk a little bit about my own journey as an engineer, the new manufacturing program, and the first year student experience, I guess from the perspective of a professor. So my engineering journey started at the University of Calgary, where I did my undergraduate and master's degree in electrical engineering. And actually a lot of my colleagues don't know this, but I started in chemical engineering. That lasted about a month. And I realized it really wasn't for me. So I went to my engineering advisors and I said, put me in anything, literally anything other than chemical engineering. And that's actually really why I ended up with an electrical engineering degree. So after my master's, I headed down to San Diego in California for my PhD. And I did research in the mechanical engineering department there in the area of robotic networks and distributed computing systems. And it was only after my PhD that I even ended up in the manufacturing industry. And I guess, you know, the takeaway from my personal story is that engineering is a discipline that's not linear in any way. There's a lot of lateral movement between all the different disciplines. And I think this should be encouraging to those of you who are unsure of whether engineering is the right choice for you or what type of engineering you want to go into. You know, the reality is most of us could never have predicted where we are today or what the work that we are doing now. You know, the important thing is that you have the right attitude. And if you're interested in using technology to find solutions to the issues that we face today, then you will definitely find a fulfilling career as an engineer, no matter how that path unfolds for you. So as I mentioned, I ended up working in the manufacturing sector for a company called ASML. I'm sure most of you have not heard of ASML, but it is actually the world's largest supplier of computer chip manufacturing equipment. So if you have a cell phone, if you have a computer, I almost guarantee you that the memory or the processor in those devices were created by the machines that I worked on. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to also highlight what manufacturing engineering looks like nowadays. So the manufacturing sector is really defined by high tech. It's no longer, dirty steel mills and, metal forging. Of course, those are definitely important parts of manufacturing, but the manufacturing sector now is defined by, sensors, actuators, automation, artificial intelligence, data, digitization. All those buzzwords that you hear, those are all really essential in the manufacturing sector these days. So it's a very exciting program to be a part of. And we're particularly excited about the teaching labs that we've assembled for this new program. The whole curriculum has been designed to be more hands-on and design focused. So the school has invested a lot into the state-of-the-art lab facilities. And we're currently getting a lot of that equipment being shipped in right now. And so I'm spending quite a bit of time on campus getting all that set up for future engineers like yourself. And I guess the last thing I was asked to talk about was the first year student experience. And we all know that engineering has a reputation for having a heavy workload and being quite difficult. And there's no denying that it is a lot of work. Your schedules are definitely really full. But your first year in particular, there's a lot of adjustments. You're moving away from home. You have to adjust to a different style of instruction. Different expectations of you. But I can also tell you that your university experience is going to be one of the most fulfilling times in your life. And you're going to meet amazing people. You're going to work with amazing people in teams. And of course, you're going to learn a lot. And my one piece of advice for all first-year students is to come with a growth mindset. If you come with the right mindset, you're guaranteed to succeed here. And what I mean by that is you have to see challenges and struggles as opportunities for learning and growth. And there's going to be lots of times where you can't get it all done. You can't do as good of a job as you wanted to. Maybe you're disappointed in your performance. But you really have to see these things as learning experiences. And if you have this attitude, you definitely have the ability to be successful here at UBC Okanagan. So I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to share with you today. So I'll hand it back to Tamara.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dean. That's great to hear about your journey and about, why studying engineering. As we move into the next part of our presentation, we'd like to kind of outline why study engineering at the Okanagan campus specifically. So I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Yang Chow, who's a professor in teaching in mechanical engineering and the Associate Director of Undergraduate Studies.
Okay, I'll mute myself. Thank you. My name is Yan Chow. I'm a faculty at here for over 10 years and 13 years exactly. I have been working as in the mechanical group, teaching second year, third year, fourth year courses, a whole range of engineering courses. Most important, I have witnessed the significant growth of the engineering program at this UBC Okanagan campus. And I've seen so many young talents graduated from our program contributing to the community. So it's been amazing to work at the UBC, to be part of this group program. So Dr. Dean Rickard has done a really good job setting engineering as a discipline. And I will use my opportunity here, the next few slides, try to sell the UBC Okanagan engineering program to you. Hopefully that'll work. So we have four different engineering programs so far: civil, electrical, manufacturing, and mechanical engineering program. They're all very traditional engineering program, to be honest, but they are all very important. You will see if you do a job posting search, most probably you see those traditional titles, right, that people are looking for. So we do have 4 different booths that available for the next 1.5 hours, hopefully. And I encourage you to visit those booths to get detailed information about what each program, and to meet some of the faculty at each booth and the students. Okay. So I encourage you to do that. Now, what makes the UBC Okanagan engineering program different? First of all, engineering is about applying scientific and mathematical principles to real life applications. And this is what we call a process of a design. So we emphasize on this key aspect design right from the beginning of your first year. So you will experience different aspects of this design process. You'll work as a team, you will work on project that's community-based, and you'll work on project that's sustainable to your future of the planet, to the future of our life. And the project will evolve into second year with more in-depth of applications in your third year and the fourth year, and there will be specific discipline type of a group-based project. And especially in your fourth year, as you probably know, there will be our signature capstone design project, which typically all industry-based projects. And you work as a group and work with the industry, and you will gain real-life experience. And at the end of the day, and you actually will do a presentation to the community. And that's the basically the pathway of how you will experience different type of design. And then at the end of your journey, you will be more complete, become a well-rounded engineers. The other thing that differentiates us from other engineering programs, which I'm also very proud of, number one, we do provide very intimate connections between the student and the faculty, as in the middle slides that shows it here. We try to keep our classes as small as possible. Many of our faculty has open door policy. Of course, this is online, it's impossible, but when it's in person, students often find it's very easy to talk to a professor, simply just dropping by, knocking on the door if the door is ajar, very easy to connect with our professor. Second of all, we do provide the so-called work-study program and research assistantship. Now you may be wondering, as a first year undergraduate student, what kind of research can you do? Now, as a matter of fact, we have a lot of undergraduate students involved in our research labs, from a range of civil, mechanical, electrical, and manufacturing. So we encourage our students right from their first year to get in touch with our professors to build up their research experience. And either using research assistantship or using this work-study program, this had actually turned out to be really helpful for many students to shape their views on engineering discipline, to help them make a decision on what direction to go. This is a really good program, and I encourage all of you, if you ever come here, to explore that opportunity. And then last of all, we're relatively new. If you're ever able to visit our facilities, which I think will provide virtual tools, we're very proud of our state-of-the-art facilities. For example, the recent manufacturing program, we invested $1 million, literally, on new equipment. So those are something that you probably won't see anywhere else. So I'll get back to Tamara, maybe Ms. Renee Lebu to explain the timetable option.
Great, thanks so much, Yang. Next, I'm going to introduce Renee Lebo. She is our senior advisor, and she is going to cover some degree planning options.
Nice to see everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. So another very appealing option about our program is flexibility. So we're one of, I would say, few engineering programs that actually offers you a 5-year degree option. So you'll see on the screen, we've outlined both the 4-year degree plan, which is 6 courses per term, which is a very heavy course load. We do recommend that, especially in year one, that students consider taking a 5-year degree plan and just reducing your course load. So that entails dropping one course from both terms, and students just find that transition from high school to university to be a bit easier with fewer classes. In addition, we do offer then summer classes if you'd like to get back on a 4-year degree plan. After year one, if everything has gone smoothly, you can take some summer classes and get back on schedule. But just that flexibility is definitely a good option to explore, and our advisors are always here to chat with you about what that looks like. In addition, we've got some great options for students to consider. 2 very popular programs are the minors. We've got a minor in management and a minor in computer science. So students apply after your first year. So as you're going into year 2, you'd apply to the minors or the options, which are competitive placements for some of these programs. We also have the options, the biomed, mechatronics, and Brazilian infrastructure management option, which is under the civil engineering umbrella. So these just are a great addition to your degree to take more specific classes if you're interested in specializing in these areas. And further to what Dr. Chow mentioned earlier, you know, students may take the biomed option and choose to engage in research opportunities with our faculty, which is, you know, a very unique aspect of our program as well. So encourage students to explore those options, and those are benefits of the smaller campus and closer connections to faculty members. In addition, these are definitely highlights with students. The study abroad program, we've got Go Global and our coordinated international exchange program. UBC and the School of Engineering has 64 partner institutions around the world. So students apply to this program and travel in year 3 and spend typically just a semester abroad. And I hear from students that that can be the highlight of their engineering education. So definitely encourage you to look at some of these extra options as you're studying. In addition to co-op, which is a year 2 application for students. And it's a great opportunity to get paid work experience throughout your degree.
Wonderful, thanks Renee. Okay, so we've now moved to the portion of our presentation where we're going to introduce our student panelists. So we have 3 wonderful students joining us today across all different years and all different disciplines. And I'll leave it to them to introduce themselves, and we will start off with Aiden.
Hi everyone, my name is Aiden. I'm a 2nd year manufacturing engineering student, and I'm from Napanee, Ontario. On my slide here, you can see a few pictures that I've put up of my 1st year experience. On the left is sort of the extracurricular side of things, which I really enjoyed. Here I am snowboarding at Big White, and I'm also with my friend Lace during the first few weeks of classes with our engineering headbands, just getting to know everyone and learning what there is to do. On the right side, you see a few more of the technical projects that I've done only in my 1st and the beginning of 2nd year. Up top, these 2 are SolidWorks drawings of products that I have created in SolidWorks. They're super applicable in the industry as well. And further down, these are 2 manufacturing specific projects dealing with rigid mold casting and also plastic injection molding. So there's these 2 aspects, both of them are amazing. And let me know if you have any questions about manufacturing or being a domestic student outside of Kelowna.
Thanks so much, Aiden. Okay, I'm going to pass it over now to Manuela.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. My name is Manuela Tolzi, and I'm a 3rd year electrical engineering. I am minoring in computer science, and I'm also specializing in mechatronics. I am from Brazil, so I am an international student. And yeah, I'm very involved with student leadership on campus. As you can see, I appealed more to the social side with my pictures here, and some of the pictures even have a few of our instructors on campus on them as well. So yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Manuela, and I'll pass it over to Kiana.
Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. My name is Kiana. I'm in my last year of study, and I'll be graduating soon. I'm studying civil engineering, and I'm from Vancouver, but I've been living in Kelowna since I started my undergraduate studies. A fun fact about me is that I play the piano. The photo in the middle is me just enjoying winter in Kelowna. On your right is me at a conference I went to where they were doing a student design build competition. And with a group of graduate students, we built and tested a historic bridge there in Buffalo, New York. On your left is me as the team lead for the concrete team for the Great Northern Concrete Toboggan Race. You may have heard about that competition, but we actually have a student club here on our campus, and I was leading the concrete team that year, and I'm just making concrete in that photo. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Okay, so at this time, we are going to move to our student panel questions. So I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen. Perfect, and so you can see everyone here. So I'm gonna kick it off with some questions that I've already pre-populated ahead of time, just so we can kind of collect the questions that are coming in. And just note that we will do our best to answer all of your questions today. If we don't get to all of our questions, I highly recommend you attending the engineering admission sessions after this or the program fair booth, which I'll explain a little bit at the end. So to kick off our first question, I'm going to ask this to all of our panelists, and I already see some questions coming in, so that's great. Feel free to use the Q&A function to ask any questions. First off, I'll start with Aiden. So Aiden, how did you get interested in engineering, and why did you choose to study at UBC Okanagan?
Thanks. So I've always really enjoyed making things with my hands and just trying to think of something that I would love to make and going out and tinkering in the garage or at a shop somewhere and trying to come up with these things that I can physically make. And I saw the engineering program as a way to turn that interest, that passion into actual career. And through the program, I'll find the methods and the processes to do this better. And it really appealed to me and my nature.
Thanks, Aiden. I'll pass it to Manuela.
Awesome. So first, I just want to recognize that it is a little bit harder for international students to choose the school they want to go to. There's lots of things to consider, but just first off, if you already decided that you want to go study abroad in Canada, one of the greatest things about UBC Okanagan is just the amount of opportunities per students on campus is much higher than any other university I ever visited. I went to go visit lots of programs, and I knew I wanted to go into either electrical or mechanical, which are the most traditional ones, just because I enjoy the math and I just really love studying. And that's something you might want to know is also like, if you love studying, that's what you need to love for engineering. And just going to UBC Okanagan, you can really access many other opportunities that other students couldn't in larger institutions, while also getting the name school experience, because UBC has had the UBC name for years, and we have traditions, and we have so it's really just best of both worlds. You get the traditions and you get the experience, and you get the more traditional engineering experience while also being in a smaller school with more opportunities and more flexible.
Thanks, Manuel. And lastly, I'll pass it over to Kiana.
Great. So I chose engineering, and specifically civil engineering, because it combines a few of my interests, such as art and design, physics and math, and building technology. Civil engineering lets me work on like very complex problems and be in service through science and engineering, which is just so attractive to me. I chose UBCO because it provides a close-knit community. It's unlike many other campuses and universities. It's like just the right size, so it's not too small and it's not too big. Because of its size, you're able to work very closely with your classmates and your faculty, and just people here are like very generous in sharing opportunities and getting undergraduates involved in research and in the industry, which is really just not something you necessarily find in other schools. It's like Kelowna is just such a great location. The weather is so great here. It's a beautiful place to be, living for a couple years. So it really has all those benefits with it.
Great, thanks so much. Okay, so I see other questions coming in. So I'm gonna pull in one of my last questions, and this is actually for Manuela. But Manuela, would you be able to explain what types of opportunities exist for undergraduates to become more involved during their time at UBC?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to mention that all opportunities I am touching on right now, you can learn a little bit more later on in the open house if you attend other booths and everything. But in the school, there's lots of clubs and lots of leadership opportunities to be involved in. And I'm sure you know that from many other schools, but just a quick overview of all the clubs that we have. We have Aero Club specific, we have a Concrete Toboggan Club, we have the Engineering Society, which is the largest student body that kind of takes care of all the clubs and is in close contact with both students and the faculty. We have Engi Careers branch, as well as a Engineers Without Borders branch on campus. We have an IEEE student chapter as well. We have motorsports, we have a fraternity, we also have a sorority you can get involved in that are both engineering specific, and we have the Women in Engineering Club, which is just a way for women in the program to get connected. All these clubs provide you with opportunities for networking, events, competitions, conferences, all throughout your program. You might have noticed in my slides that I have lots of pictures where everybody's wearing lots of engineering specific gear, and we have patches and we have hoodies and scarves, and you can attain those by experience just by getting involved with your student body and going on conferences, meeting other students, getting opportunities to meet students from other universities as well as industry, and getting both your social life and your academic / work life started while you're still at school. So yeah, and just a little bit about the Engineering Society. I have been involved since my first year in the Engineering Society, and I recommend that anybody that has the opportunity to do so, that they do. I was a first year representative, and then last year I was Vice President Corporate Relations, and this year I am VP Internal for the Engineering Society. And just by doing this work, and also Aiden is part of the Engineering Society, as you can see there's a little logo on his background. It's just a great experience. You get to meet amazing people from other places, amazing industry partners with the school, and also you get to work closely with all of our instructors and faculty, just by looking at this entire event and knowing that I know our instructors do a great job and everything. Yeah, it's just really nice to be involved with student body. So please let me know if you have any questions about involvement as well.
Thanks, Manuela. That's great. And as Manuela noted, as you gain those, you're gaining connections with other students, but you're also gaining leadership skills. So joining a club is a really great opportunity to add to your degree. And we do have our club booth fair that will be open from 7 to 8 p.m. and where you can go and speak only to students. So it'll all be run by students who run those clubs. We have 8 clubs participating tonight. So I will explain that a little bit more at the end, but definitely go chat with them. And now we're going to move over to the Q&As that I see coming in. So this first question I have is a really great question. And I'll pass it on to all of our student panelists. So for all 3 students that are joining us on the panel today, do you find the workload very challenging or the concepts overwhelming? And Kiana, why don't you go ahead and take that one first?
All right, so that's a very good question. And the workload can be heavy, and you need to figure out what works for you. As Mrs. LeBeau mentioned, like you can choose between 5 and 6 courses in your first year, and you should take advantage of those, just those options. So when you start, in order to get into the flow and get used to it and adjust, you should choose like the number of courses accordingly. And you really need, it becomes very important to first manage your time and manage all the different things you're involved in, courses, extracurriculars, and everything, and also to use all the resources that are made available to you. So on campus, we have resources for almost everything. Like there's resources from like health and wellness to like weekly office hours in order to go and talk to your faculty, to your instructors, and make sure that you're mastering all the concepts that are being taught to you. So you really need to use your resources so that that process of adjusting becomes a bit easier for you. It's nothing unmanageable. There's so many students in engineering, and so it's definitely doable. But if you don't use those resources, and if you don't really figure out what works for you, it might get overwhelming, and you really need to, it becomes critical to really learn to manage your time, learn to use those resources that are made available to you, and work together if that's like work with your classmates, for example, and learning concepts, new concepts. It's great. That's a great resource to use to discuss it with your classmates, help each other out. And you know, we're all in this together, and we should be supporting each other in that ways. So it's, yeah, you can avoid it becoming overwhelming by using all your resources and just figuring out what works for you, how many courses works for you, and maintaining those other aspects of it. For example, if you're involved in extracurriculars and you, it just makes it more fun for you. And yeah, that's my thought on that question, but great question.
Awesome. Thanks, Kiana, for your answer. And I'll pass it over to Manuela as well to give her 2 cents on workload.
Thank you so much, Tamara. I just wanted to mention that if you're a student coming in from straight out of high school and you do have all of your math requirements, all of your, a touch of calculus here, good pre-cal there, then it would be interesting for you to try to see what is that you're going to learn in university before you even start classes. Just make sure you read your syllabus, make sure you know what you're going to get into. So you see if you can be learning all those things simultaneously. One thing you might notice is that other students in other faculties and other programs might have a lesser workload than engineering, just in terms of classes, in terms of how many hours, number of labs and everything. So it really isn't for everybody, and there's no shame at all in going in the 5-year program. And I found that it is very beneficial to students if you don't want to do just school and you want to get involved and you want to have a little wiggle room to travel, to go to conferences, to meet more people, and to do everything. I'm taking the 4-year program, and I just find that if I did take the opportunity to take the 5-year program, then I might have had even more time to engage in my involvements. So yeah, just make sure you read up on what it is that you're getting into.
Thanks, Manuela. And Aiden, I'm going to direct this next question to you. So we have a student from Toronto who would like to know how you ended up choosing UBC over an Ontario school, as he's currently trying to make that decision himself.
Oh, that's great. Nice to see some Ontario representation. So for me, I managed to actually tour and see a whole bunch of schools from Ontario to the East Coast to the West Coast. And for me, UBCO was absolutely the perfect blend of what I was looking for. I toured the Ontario schools. They're big. They have lots of opportunities. It's great there. But they're old and they're kind of institutionalized, and there's so many people. Whereas some of the East Coast schools, they're smaller, you know, they might not have as many opportunities and they might not have the name. So then I came out here to UBCO. I saw that it had all of the opportunities. It had a small, close-knit environment. It had a beautiful location. It had all of the things that I was looking for, and it was a perfect blend for me.
Wonderful. Thanks, Aiden. Happy you joined us for sure. I'm going to touch on Ethan's question about co-op experience. I don't believe our students that are on our panel today are part of the co-op program.
I just got accepted.
Oh, perfect. Aiden, so do you want to speak a little bit about your experience, or you haven't had a work term yet?
I have not had a work term, but the application process was easy, and the co-op's office are very nice to work with.
Yeah, awesome, Aiden. So Ethan, if you or any other students are wondering about co-op, we do have a 2 co-op advisors that will be available between 7 and 8 p.m. that you can go and ask all your questions about different co-ops, what types of jobs that you can find, how it works across both campuses, the application process, and when to apply. So I highly recommend between 7 and 8 going to talk with our 2 co-op advisors. The next question, I'm going to pass it over to Renee. So the question is it possible to take first year engineering at UBC Okanagan and then take a specialization only available at the UBC Vancouver campus? If so, what are some of the unique challenges that arise from this, and does it make it more difficult to get into a more competitive specialization such as engineering physics?
Thanks, Tamara. And that's a great question that we receive a lot. Both our advising office and UBC recruitment teams' advice to students is to start at the campus that you want to complete your degree at. So, you know, really look at the options and the programs that are available, both at UBC Okanagan and Vancouver. It is a very competitive process to transfer between Okanagan and Vancouver or vice versa. And, you know, you can hear from students on the call. All students are very strong, exceptional students coming in with very high averages. Year 1 averages do drop off a little bit. So in terms of being competitive for placements at Vancouver campus, you mentioned engineering physics. I know that's a very competitive program. Typically, students would require probably high 80s in all year 1 classes to be competitive for that seat. And students do need to take the full 37 credits, so 6 courses in both terms to be eligible. So again, I just encourage you to, you know, as Aiden and others have mentioned on the call, you know, really be happy with the university of choice in terms of envisioning yourself and spending 4 years at that institution, rather than trying to put yourself in a position where you might be, you know, stressed considering, you know, am I going to be eligible? What are my grades going to look like? So just start where you want to finish is my best advice on that question.
Great, thanks, Renee. And this next question I'm going to direct back at you as well. So we have a student asking, is there any difference in the UBC degree between Okanagan versus Vancouver? Are the parchments the same or are they different?
Wow, some great questions. Thank you. So it's a UBC degree. We're part of the Faculty of Applied Science. So we have an executive associate dean that sits in the Okanagan campus. Our dean is based in Vancouver. There's a lot of collaborations within our faculty. So it is the same UBC degree. The only difference on the parchment is where the degree is conferred at, whether that be Vancouver or Okanagan campus. But we hear from our co-op advisors, you know, faculty and industry partners. Our Okanagan graduates are exceptionally strong, and many have jobs waiting for them out in industry. So the quality of education at the Okanagan campus is excellent.
Great, thanks, Renee. As I don't see other questions coming in right now, I'm going to fill in one for myself. So I'm actually wondering, for Aiden, Kiana, and Manuela, how did you choose the specialization or the discipline that you're studying? And Aiden, how about we start with you?
Sure. So as I mentioned before, I am in second year, and in second year, that's when you decide your discipline. So I chose manufacturing engineering. I was very conflicted over what discipline I was going to choose. When I was coming into engineering from high school, I was thinking, okay, probably mechanical or electrical. And then during my first year, I saw some of the awesome civil labs, and I talked to some civil profs, and I was really into civil for a little while. And then the time came where I had to decide. And I went to a manufacturing roundtable where I saw some of my favorite profs from first year. They talked about the new facilities and actually what manufacturing was, because going in, I didn't have a great idea of what it was. It is new and exciting and innovative, and all of those buzzwords that Dean was talking about are what make up the program. So it really appealed to me in that the cohort size was small, the topic was new, exciting, and engaging, and the professors were some of my favorite from first year.
Thanks, Aiden. How about you, Kiana?
So personally, like it became clear for me, like since from childhood, I love to build. I really wanted to be involved in the construction industry. Just I knew that from the start, like civil engineering was what I was passionate about. So I was lucky that I knew that before coming into university, but it's great here that we have these opportunities where you can explore all the programs. It really helps to learn about each program, to do your research, to talk to people who have started their careers in those programs, really just asking for mentorship and asking your questions will really help you be more confident moving forward in your decision. But for me, it was really, civil engineering combined a couple of my interests, and it really made sense to me to go into this program. And yeah, it's really important to choose the program that you're passionate about, that you want to, that you see yourself, working in the future. You want to work on problems that are in that program, and that program helps you do that in the future. So it's important to decide on a program that you're truly passionate about, and yeah, it really helps you in sort of overcoming the obstacles in the way, because it can get challenging during the process, and it's definitely and like Dean said, you really need to have and maintain a growth mindset throughout the process. It's not going to be just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean it's all going to be easy every step of the way. It's going to be easy. It's really important to be able to have a vision of what you want to achieve out of that program in order to be able to overcome all the obstacles that come with it, and be able to enjoy the process and learn as much as you possibly can during the next 4 or 5 years.
Okay, thanks, Kiana. And Manuela, how did you get interested in your discipline?
Thank you for the question. So like Kiana said, it was like from childhood. I really just enjoy math heavy based courses, and all throughout high school and throughout my early semesters, early weeks, even in university, I knew that I was going to the right place. I just really like mathematics in general. And also there was a big question in the beginning of my second year, was I going to go into electrical or mechanical? And it soon became clear to me that I wanted to do electrical. And one of the jokes that we had in my class, and I'm gonna tell this joke in spite of Dr. Chow being here, but was that Dr. Chow taught me 2 of the hardest classes for people that are not interested in math for my year, which were calculus 2, 3, and system dynamics. And people would ask each other like, oh, do Dr. Chow's classes, do they haunt you or do they interest you? Or do you want to learn more about what he's talking about? And that's when I knew that I wanted to learn more about what he was talking about. And going into electrical was a great decision. At the same time, if you are taking an engineering degree, but you don't want an engineering career, I find that the engineering program is still useful to provide you with not only a great degree and a great bachelor's degree, but also with not only management experience, but you could also go into accounting, you could go into software, you could go into investment banking, you could go into anything such as that. Or if you really just love electrical engineering, which is where I'm going into, just like working with embedded systems design. And that's what I love doing. I love sitting on the computer and working through problems, or I love just writing down math problems and things like that. And just being able to know that in the mathematics world, there's no way that you could possibly ever solve all math problems that there are. There's always more. And that's also pretty cool. Like if you're studying for an exam or a midterm, you could always study more and more. And so, yeah, you definitely need to like studying to go into electrical. And then I chose a minor in mechatronics, mostly because I wanted to know a little bit more about embedded systems and design and mechatronics and design of other things electrical related. And it was also came hand in hand, like someone answered in the Q&A questions, if I was already taking my minor in computer science, and I saw that it came to work in place with the mechatronics. So it's also like a black hole. Like if you really like studying, you can always study more and more, and you just can like get more specializations, more minors, more things to learn. It's pretty awesome.
Thanks, Manuela. And just so everyone knows that still on our call, we do have between 7 and 8 an opportunity for you to drop into a program booth. So you can go into the civil engineering booth, the electrical, the manufacturing, or the mechanical, where there's a prof and a student there. So you can have a more one-on-one conversation about more in-depth questions as to what their discipline is, and extra courses they're taking, and all those types of details. The next question I'm going to pass over to Renee. So a student is wondering how many spots are open in each program or each discipline.
Thanks, Tamara. So I don't think we mentioned this earlier. This is definitely an attractive feature for the School of Engineering. We don't have any program caps, so students are guaranteed their program of choice. So there's not too many engineering programs that students are guaranteed their program. So yeah, many students choose to come to us for that reason. So we basically just ask you to fill out a form at the end of year 1, and then you choose your courses for year 2 accordingly. Yeah, so it's a great feature of our campus.
Thanks, Renee. And this question is a broad question, and it would be a great one to go ahead and attend the program fair and talk to the different disciplines. But I'm going to pass this to Dr. Chow and see if he has any insight. So Dr. Chow, where do most graduates end up getting jobs?
I would say all of the places, all over Canada, even worldly. So Kelowna, as you all know, it's a tourist city, but recently Kelowna has gained momentum in several industries, particularly in high tech, electrical, civil. Civil is a strong area in Kelowna. We do have a lot of students end up working locally, but overall, our student has been contributing in many other cities all over Canada. So this is the best part of engineering, I think, a career. You are not limited to a small city. You can do a wonderful job anywhere you want, basically.
Thanks, Dr. Chow. Okay, so we're getting close to our time. So I wanted to make sure I answer one last question live, and the other 2 questions that are there, they'll be answered by our advisors that are in the background. So this question is for, I'll kind of leave it to one of our student panelists. And it's a great question about how have you dealt with online learning this year and last? And are there any panelists currently living on campus or in Kelowna, or are you learning from home? So Kiana, why don't you join in, just because I know you are located in Kelowna right now.
Yeah, so it did take some adjusting to do, but it was really important to develop a system and maintain it so that it still felt like your day has a start and end, especially, for example, when you went to school, you were involved in your classes, you saw your classmates, and then it ended and you came home. We don't have that anymore. So making sure to sort of create that sense for yourself to stay on track, to attend lectures, even though they're online and recorded, and just trying to stay connected, talking to your professors, asking questions, going to office hours to clarify things. That's like, it's what we can control at the moment. It was really important to change focus, to change scale and see, so what can you control and what can't you control, and try to still do well and perform well in the things you could control. And like I said, to use the resources that UBC provides. It's really important during this time to take advantage of the resources like health and wellness, to stay connected with your friends through online resources, and yeah, to make sure that you're using these services that UBC provides. And yeah, that's how I've done it so far.
Thanks so much, Kiana. And thank you everyone so much for asking all of the questions. Thank you to our panelists for sticking around and answering them. Those are some of the best questions I've had in some online sessions. So thanks for listening and sticking around with us for this presentation today. What I'm going to talk about really quickly is next up, we have our engineering admissions presentation. So I highly recommend you attend this. If you're a high school student, the session you want to go to is from 6:30 to 7. And if there's any post-secondary students that are looking to transfer to UBC Okanagan, the best presentation for you would be at 7 p.m. And all this information is on our webpage, and all of the links are on our webpage that you would have received in the RSVP. Again, you'll be entered into a draw to win some UBC apparel, and be sure to check out as many sessions as you can. Lastly, again, I know we've mentioned it many times today, and I want to make sure that you know that we have our program fair booth and our club fair booth. So this is an opportunity for you to click into each one of these and chat with a professor, a student, or an advisor. So a really great option to kind of get that one-on-one time with our staff and our faculty and our students. So on behalf of everyone here at the School of Engineering, I wanted to say thank you very much for joining, and best of luck in your journey to post-secondary decisions. Thanks.